For you will be his witness before all to what you have seen and heard. Today is the feast of the conversion of St. Paul. Now, St. Paul's impact on Christianity and on the spread of the gospel really can't be understated. It's through St. Paul, largely, that God worked to spread the gospel to the Gentiles. Now, in one of the options for the first reading today, from chapter 22 of Acts of the Apostles, we hear Paul telling the story of his conversion. And as we know, this conversion involves Paul falling to the ground as he's blinded by a great light, and then hearing the voice of the Lord identifying himself with the church, whom Paul at the time was persecuting. Paul goes on to tell of how Ananias helped him regain his sight. And our verse today is part of the message that God gives to Paul through Ananias. Now let's think about this imagery of light for a moment. Light is what enables us to see. And ironically, it's the superabundance of light that blinds Paul in the passage. And Paul's physical blindness points to his interior blindness, his blindness to what God has been doing through the church. At the same time, his healing points to his acceptance of that deep insight. Not only that, what is Paul primarily called to do? To be a witness, just like the apostles were called to be witnesses at Jesus' ascension in chapter 1 of this same book of Acts of the Apostles. So Paul is being commissioned in this moment, but for what? To see and to share what he has seen. The imagery of physical sight really points us to the deeper kind of sight that Paul has been given and is intended to share. The physical healing is much less important than the deeper healing that has taken place. And so it is with us. We are all called, like Paul, to be witnesses. And that starts with identifying those moments where God has cured our blindness. And not necessarily the physical blindness, but rather those moments where we found deeper insight and come to realizations about ourselves and our relationship with God that are life-changing. And just like Paul, who a couple times in Acts shares this story of his conversion, we must never weary of telling others how God has healed us.